Much of what we do in life requires a tool. Many things can be accomplished with many different tools, but most would agree that having the right tool for the job makes things a lot easier. For our expedition north, we are looking to travel to remote locations for extended periods of time and live as comfortably as possible while doing it. We have been working hard towards setting up our vehicle to be the right tool for the adventure. Our expedition is completely reliant on our vehicle to support every aspect of our journey and provide us with our home for the entire trip. Naturally, our journey begins with the build of our new home on wheels. We arrived at Lance Camper Manufacturing's headquarters in Southern California to be part of the build of our expedition vehicle. We are taking a 4x4 Ford F350 dually truck and pairing it with a Lance 1172 two-slide truck camper, the largest one made by Lance. Together with a few modifications, this is pretty much our dream setup for making the trek north.
So we found out that our rig is going onto the assembly line today. It's going to start production and we get to go in and see the process. We're so excited. Let's do this!
Lance Manufacturing has two main production buildings, and the build of a camper starts in their partially solar-powered and climate-controlled lamination building, where the roof and sidewalls for the campers are manufactured. We learned that the process begins with raw insulation and wall materials consisting of a gel-coated fiberglass, Azdel composite, and block foam insulation. First, the exterior fiberglass, Azdel, and block foam get cut to size and sandwiched together with special laminating machines that apply formaldehyde-free glue and use rollers to pinch roll the parts together. An automated machine then cuts out the specific shape for the frame and wiring. While the cutting process appeared to make a huge mess, the foam scraps were being swept up to be recycled back into insulation. Once cut, the walls then get wiring installed and the aluminum frame dropped into place before they head on to the welding area behind a big red protective curtain. Once welded, special strips are added to provide additional anchor points where the cabinetry will be connected to the wall, and one final layer of Azdel with interior decor is pinch roll laminated into place. Windows are then cut out and the sidewall is complete. The walls are then transferred to the main manufacturing building where they await assembly. We toured the manufacturing building and saw many of the subtasks that take place before the RV can be assembled. The cabinetry and interior walls are manufactured out of a formaldehyde-free, lightweight plywood and are cut out by computer-controlled cutting machines that make perfect cuts. The cabinetry is assembled by hand and any exposed surfaces are stained the appropriate color. Another large task is the upholstery that will appoint the RV. Lance has a large in-house team that works on sewing for the cushions, valances, carpeting, covers, bedspreads, and any other fabrics that go into the units. Before assembly, the electrical systems are also wired on special looms to create the main wiring harnesses that will be run through the RV and connected to wires previously assembled in the walls and roof. Along similar lines, some of the piping is also pre-assembled using residential quality PEX tubing. Construction for a truck camper starts with the very bottom, or the basement, where the tanks are located. This is the area of the camper that will sit in the bed of the truck, and the assembly actually starts upside down with the floor pointing downward. Structures and frame are added to the underside using extruded metals to affix them together, creating a very strong structure. tanks, plumbing, ducting, and wiring are all then installed while it is upside down. The completed basement, wiring, piping, and all, is connected to a special lift that picks it up and flips it over for the next phase of the build to begin. The 1172 campers usually have a built-in generator, but for our specific build, we had them leave out the generator but pull wiring to the area so we could later add an inverter and lithium batteries, which we will talk more about in a later episode. Walls and cabinetry are brought in and affixed to the floor. At this stage, we were able to notice a few places where Lance is able to reduce waste by using extra material cut out from the lamination process to form structural areas where not seen, like under the shower or toilet. At this point, sidewalls were brought in, and the RV really began to take shape. Sidewalls are screwed or bolted to the frame and connected to the interior cabinetry. The appliances were then brought in and installed, but another change made to our demo unit is that we will be testing out a Truma furnace and water heater in this RV that will be installed later, so our RV was built without them from the factory. At another location, the roof is assembled by gluing the roofing material down and assembling the vents, air conditioning, and anything else mounted to the roof. It was nice to see that Lance uses a high-quality PVC roofing material that should stand up to the sun and weather for many years. The completed roof was then lifted with a crane and lowered into place on the camper. The slides were manufactured in another area of the factory and brought over to the camper once complete. Using a special crane, the slides were picked up and positioned into the hole in the sidewall. At this point, the majority of the camper is constructed, and it moves on for final touches before exiting the factory and given one final thorough test of all the systems, including the electrical, water, propane, and appliances. Any things that need attention are marked with tape and put on a list to finish up. After that, the camper moves on to get cleaned up for delivery. It was really cool to be able to watch the rig we're planning to take all the way to the Arctic Ocean, be assembled, and roll off the production line.
Here it is! This is the first time we're actually seeing our rig. This is really exciting. The rig that we're going to be taking up to Alaska. And it's here in the R&D department. We'll tell you why in a sec, but let's first go check it out inside. It is so crazy to think that we're moving into this thing next week. We're hanging out in the R&D department right now at Lance, hence the hard hats. And they're letting us use this space to do some modifications to it before we're ready to start packing and hitting the road. So let's get to work.
So the first task we're working on here is adding a under-sink water filtration system. We're going to be drinking out of our tanks and sources that we might not normally drink out of over the course of the summer. We're going to set up a system so that we can pull water out of a stream or a lake if we need. And RV Water Filter Store has provided us their ultra pure under sink system and also a system that we're going to hook up to our hose for any time that we're pumping water into the tanks or getting it from a municipal source. There are good and bad things to having a wireless camera with your wife on the other end while you're working under the sink.
Finally release the pressure. That does not taste good.
This summer we hope to be off the grid as much as possible and occasionally get water from natural sources. We want to make sure that our water is safe to drink, and these filters are designed to take out pathogens like bacteria and protozoal pathogens like Giardia. Even if we're not getting our water from lakes and streams, it's hard to know the quality of the water we're getting while traveling, and always a good idea to filter it. Alright, we just finished up the under sink water filter install. It went really well, and it was easier than I expected, aside from only having one hand to work with.
It's a good thing you're skinny.
It's a really good thing I'm skinny. Our next project here is adding our connectivity for the rig for going to Alaska and Canada this summer. LiveandLight.net has provided us with one of their PEP Wave routers. It's a dual band router that we're going to put some rooftop antennas on the roof to hopefully be able to get better cell service as we travel. It's going to be imperative that we have connectivity as best we can, and we're going to be in some really remote locations. So the rooftop antennas, and we're also going to be adding a couple cell boosters to hopefully be able to draw cell in even in remote locations. Of course, if we don't have any cell service to boost, it's not very helpful. They've hooked us up with 2 international data plans so that we can stay connected even in Canada and Alaska. The first step in this installation was selecting where we were going to drill the holes for the antennas. Lance had provided us with roof plans so that we could verify locations. While these are available to all Lance owners who may want to make modifications like this, we had the unique opportunity to spend time with the R&D team who designed the campers, and even got to see a 3D model of the 1172. This gave us added confidence that we would not be hitting any wires or structures when we were drilling into the roof. We drilled up from the bottom in a bathroom cabinet with a pilot hole so that we could drill the larger hole down from the roof. Before mounting the antennas, we used an aluminum foil tape we put down on the roof to create a ground plane. So I was told that the ground plane, in theory, probably doesn't really give you much if you have good signal, but when we're in weak signal areas, in theory, it could give us twice the signal strength by bouncing the radio waves up into the antennas. Advancements in connectivity have enabled so many people to work remote and stay connected as they travel. Northern Canada and Alaska, however, are so wild, we fully expect that this summer will be a challenge for remaining connected. We welcome this challenge, as even if we can't get connected, it will be an opportunity to live in the moment and enjoy the natural areas we will be exploring. When needed, however, hopefully this system will help us share our journey. So we just finished up getting all the electronics set up. We decided to put them on this wall so that they didn't take up storage real estate in a cabinet or somewhere, just because we're limited in the small space. This is the router itself that is connected to the antennas on the roof. It's got 2 cellular antennas, one out, one in, for both modems. Because this is a dual modem unit, we can actually have 2 SIM cards, 2 completely separate data plans that run at the exact same time, and it can use the antennas to pull data from both plans at the same time. Right now we've got internal Wi-Fi antennas plugged in. This little antenna right here I've just got temporarily put back there is the booster antenna that comes into this booster that we're testing out. Basically, we pulled all the cables in and wired them all up in here, and then the power cables run into where this light is. We just drilled a hole into this cabinet and just wired it right into the 12-volt system of the RV. Each one of these has its own independent plug, so we can just unplug them if we want to turn them off. So we're back at the R&D facility today because our RV is getting its furnace and water heater. Truma is here. They're installing the high efficiency Vario furnace and the AquaGo water heater. This is a retrofit into the RV. The ducting wasn't originally designed for this furnace, so they're working on figuring out how it's actually gonna fit. The AquaGo water heater and Vario heat furnace in this RV is a test, and the retrofit installation was a joint effort between the Lance R&D team and Truma. Some ducting had to be replaced and propane lines had to be reconfigured, otherwise both devices fit in the existing locations, under the oven for the furnace and in the bathroom vanity for the water heater. We are excited to be part of this trial because we already have the AquaGo water heater installed in our fifth wheel and are excited to try out the Vario furnace because it is supposed to be quiet and highly efficient. This journey is about going to amazing places we have never been while still remaining comfortable. Staying warm and having hot water will be big factors to our comfort in the cooler weather of the north.
So the furnace and the water heater are now installed. They've also put the stove and the range back in. Both the water heater and the furnace are controlled by this panel here. This isn't typically where a control panel would probably be installed, but because of the retrofit and the proximity to the furnace, which is installed right behind here underneath the stove area, this was the place that they chose to install the control panel. This controls both the furnace, the Vario heat, and the Truma AquaGo water heater. Based on our experience with the AquaGo in our fifth wheel RV, we know and love the functionality of the AquaGo, so we're excited to be using that on this trip. But the Vario is something new to us, and we're really excited to see just how quiet it is and just how efficient it is in heating this space.
As the name suggests, truck campers require a truck. The truck we are taking is a 2019 Ford F-350 four-wheel drive dually with a Powerstroke 6.7-liter turbo diesel engine. This is a Platinum Edition truck with many bells and whistles that should make the long drives more comfortable. The truck is rated at 5,500 pounds cargo carrying capacity and should be more than adequate to carry the 4,100 pound 1172 camper and our gear. A few modifications had to be made to the truck to be able to carry the camper. The first was the tailgate had to be removed so that the camper could sit in the bed of the truck. After that, we needed a way to strap the camper down, so on this build we added the torque lift tie downs that connect directly to the truck's frame. These work in conjunction with the torque lift fast gun adjustable turnbuckles to easily secure the camper down. The truck also got an electrical outlet installed in the driver's side front corner of the bed where the camper will plug in. While technically this is all that is required to carry a truck camper, this truck got a few suspension upgrades as well that will make the ride with the camper even better. Installed on the axles are upgraded Hellwig sway bars, and on the rear axle we added Hellwig airbags. We spoke with Mike Hallmark of Hellwig about these load control devices.
Sway, when it comes to cars and trucks, is actually body roll. Sway or body roll is when the vehicle is actually rolling, the weight is transferring from inside tires to the outside tires. It's not just the weight that you're managing, it's also the altered center of gravity. So your center of gravity has now moved up drastically. That higher center of gravity gives the vehicle mechanical advantage over the rest of the suspension. So what will happen is you get more drastic body roll. It will roll quicker, it will stay listed longer. By putting a sway bar on, it helps to reduce that in general and brings it back to level even ride height, left to right. Really all a sway bar is very simple. It's two levers that are connected in the middle via a center rod essentially, and they just fight against each other to bring the frame back to parallel with the road surface.
In addition to the sway bars on the front and rear of the truck, we also added airbags installed on the rear axle that help maintain the ride height of the truck when the load of the camper is installed in the bed.
So when you're putting a weight in the back of the truck, like the camper that's behind me here, you'll notice that the back end's gonna sag. What we recommend is measure what the ride height of the vehicle is, the back is, prior to putting the camper in. Put the camper on, and then when it drops down, give just enough air pressure to bring it back to your level ride height. No more, no less, just enough to level it out.
Lastly, a torque lift super hitch and stinger were added to the truck to extend the receiver hitch of the truck out to the edge of the camper. The super hitch also serves as the tie-down location for the camper at the back of the truck. The final touch was adding some Go North graphics.
Here it is, it's our wrapped truck. We are so pleased with how this turned out. It really looks cool.
First time we've ever wrapped a vehicle.
First time I've ever wrapped a vehicle, and wow, I'm very happy with how it turned out. The hood looks awesome too. It looks so official. Oh my gosh, we're leaving next week.
Couple days. So we are plugging in the truck camper for the first time, backing it in. First time doing this. Brand new truck camper.
This much further?
Okay.
A little bit more. Right there, that's good.
And that's it. She's almost ready to roll. So this is it. I've driven one of these before, but it wasn't the one we're taking. This is the very first time we've got the one we are taking on the back of the truck.
Everything has been installed and tested out, except one critical piece we will be installing after hitting the road, the electrical system. It's impossible to know all the challenges that lie before us, but we feel confident that this build will get us through. Rolling out the door with 2 days remaining to our target departure date, it is now time to frantically pack the RV.